Let's close out the show here, Trey, with our little up-tempo offense, shall we? And you've got a couple of games on the board here that certainly are going to be games that I think you throw up in the quad box. You're checking, you're scrolling for team updates on Twitter. Where do you want to take us here?
Let's start Friday night. Let's start James Madison Louisville because I think that's a game that James Madison is going to be looking to throw their hat in the ring with the G5 playoff spot because
Sure.
there's a lot of uncertainty when you look at that after Boise State's performance. We were all just kind of penciling in Boise State in that spot, but now James Madison is a team that could quietly find their way right at the forefront of that if they're able to make a big statement on Friday night.
I think they could, and we've been talking about this game as a dangerous spot for Louisville for several months now. Louisville 14.5-point favorites. I do think that Louisville probably finds a way to win this game, but if you're making me pick a side, 14.5 for a Friday night game against a very talented JMU team, it feels like half a point too many.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking JMU plus the points. Miller Moss didn't look great in the debut last week. Threw a couple picks. I'll be honest, I need to go back and really dive in to see what the cause of that was. Maybe it wasn't his fault, but sounding like maybe the performance wasn't as stellar as it could have been against Eastern Kentucky. So, yeah, if you do that against James Madison, they are a team that will make you pay.
No doubt about it. How about an ACC land? An ACC matchup that is not a conference game. Virginia at NC State, the Wolfpack 2.5-point favorites. Virginia looked really solid offensively. Now, Chandler Morris did leave the game with a shoulder injury. I have not seen an update on whether or not he's going to be fully healthy to go, but with the line being so close, it probably follows that he'll be ready to go for that game. NC State looked good. They did beat East Carolina. They proved me wrong in that one, but they almost let it slip away at the very end. They played with fire down the stretch. I don't know. I mean, I know Virginia's going on the road here. Maybe it feels like a little bit of a letdown spot for the Wolfpack after beating a hated rival in ECU. I'm kind of wanting to back the Wahoos here.
Interesting. You're just very anti-NC State this year is what I'm hearing. You're not going to pick them
I,
all year.
I want them to prove it to me before I jump back in because I've been burned. I've been burned.
We've both been burned.
I'm a spurned lover.
We've both been burned by the Wolfpack in years past. And listen, I think it's really going to depend on what half Wolfpack team that shows up at 11 a.m. on Saturday, because if the first half of that ECU game shows up, could be a very long day for Virginia. But if the second half team that almost let that lead slip away, had to really buck up at the end and fight off a big Pirate comeback shows up, then this is going to be a really close game that could go either way. I'm going to lean NC State here, take the 2.5 points at home. I like just like the continuity that they have a little bit more. I'm more on the I need to see it with Virginia first against a bigger opponent before I'm really ready to go all in on them.
We're both on the I need to see it with the other team bandwagon,
which is a great way to pick football games. We've learned so much that needing to see it from the other team when you're not fully convinced on the team that you're picking is a great way to make some money on a betting market.
What would you have if you didn't know the line for this game? What would you have guessed that it would be set at? Because to me, this seems shockingly low for NC State coming off a home win and having a healthy team and an offense that could put up some points. Doesn't it feel like someone knows something in the back end just a little bit?
Yeah, I could see that. I think in general, Vegas has been high on Virginia. Their over-under is higher than I would have. I think their over-under was like 7.5 in the preseason. I think it was
7.5, yeah.
Some odd makers have some power ratings that really like Virginia. So 2.5 probably feels about right in this one. Two very even teams, and you give the home team 2.5. That feels about right to me.
Yeah, there you go. You put Oklahoma State on at Oregon on the run sheet here. It's Oklahoma State's first ever trip up to Eugene, and it might be a memorable one for all the wrong reasons. The Ducks are favored by 28.5. Dante Moore looked electric in that game against Montana State. I really felt like I was watching an NFL quarterback sling the ball. Not because of the defense, but just the windows that he was putting those throws into, like I mentioned in the live show. All of that to boot, Haas Haney's out with a broken foot. I don't know what to lean on here with Oklahoma State. So please explain yourself.
I mean, I just put it on here because the midday window is a little light, and this is
Yeah,
something that's going to be on in a lot of sports bars. So if you haven't been paying attention to Oklahoma State, I don't blame you. They had a rough ending to last season, and yeah, it looks like it's going to be a rough start to this season with a trip up to Eugene. So two very interesting, just like a uniform matchup, like just
sure.
objectively thinking about where these two programs have been over the last 20 years. This is a fun matchup, but Oklahoma State is kind of a shell of what they have been the last few years. I think Oregon's going to roll, and yeah, 28.5 feels like could be a halftime line, honestly, if things aren't going well for
Yeah,
Oklahoma State.
yeah. Ole Miss goes to Kentucky this week. Kentucky's lone SEC win last season came against the Rebs in Oxford, which was just hilarious for so many reasons. 10.5 though is the spread here, and you wrote that this feels almost suspiciously low.
It does. I know that going on the road in the SEC is never easy, even when you're playing a team like Kentucky. Playing them at home is apparently not easy for Lane Kiffin and the Rebels. But
Yikes!
I, I'm really interested to see what Vegas knows here because Austin Simmons looked really good in his debut. Had some really nice moments. I know they're playing. Who cares? Georgia. I think it was Georgia State, right?
Georgia State, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, offense put up 60 points. Kentucky didn't look like an elite team against Toledo. That game was
No.
one that we thought was going to be really close, and it was very close. So yeah, it really surprised me that this was only 10.5. But I don't know, maybe Vegas knows that Zach Calzada just finds another level against ranked teams at home, and he's going to find a way to find some more magic in Lexington.
Yeah, if you've got no business winning a game, then Zach Calzada is the guy that you want quarterbacking you because he might pull the rabbit out of the hat. I think very similar to Haynes King. I think he's kind of like what did Garrett call him that season? The human glow stick. Like you gotta crack him first
Yeah.
before he activates. So yeah, maybe it's the first full sack where he just gets folded like a cheap table. That is what Kentucky is ultimately looking for. I'm going to underthink Express this one. I'm going to go Ole Miss minus the 10.5. Yeah, sure. Kentucky's defense is probably going to be the best side that they have to offer all season long, but the offense just did not look good against Toledo in any capacity. They looked helpless at times. Calzada did not look like the eighth-year quarterback that he is. So I'm going to take Ole Miss here, and yeah, Austin Simmons, he might be a problem here, not only just in the future, but he might be a problem this year.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Taking Ole Miss minus 10.5 and not really trying to overanalyze it. And yeah, I mean, if Lane Kiffin loses to Kentucky back to back years, that's a big problem.
Probably wishes that the Florida job had come open if that does indeed happen. Three quick hitters here that I want your take on. Texas State at UTSA. The Roadrunners 4.5 point favorites. The I35 rivalry is already totally fueled up. I mean, the hate speech, the trash talking going back and forth on Twitter has been hysterical to watch. I do tend to lean, I think, towards UTSA. I don't know what the Roadrunner defense is going to look like, and that's just going to be a given all year long. But I'm going to ride with my American Conference champions here in UTSA and take them over the Bobcats.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you again here. Robert Henry looked like a man amongst boys, even against Texas A&M last week. 177 yards and 2 touchdowns at Kyle Field. Had the big 75-yarder to kick off the second half. I don't know if Texas State has an answer to somebody like that coming out of the backfield. Lots of talent on that Texas State team. They did lose a lot of guys from last year, still reloaded through the portal, but yeah, not sure that they have the top end talent that they did last year that really made this a difficult game for UTSA and San Marcos. It's also in the Dome. I think the Dome, they're opening up tickets on the second level for the first time in quite some time for UTSA. So going to be a really fun atmosphere. And these two schools do not like each other. If you're not from Texas, you might not know that, but yeah, they hate each other.
Hate. It's not disdain or dislike. It is hate.
It might make A&M
caps.
Texas look like a Girl Scout tug of war. Honestly, like it is pure unadulterated hate between these two schools.
Yeah, no doubt. There's no chivalrous rivalry. It's high school girls hate, where it's just nasty, man. It's yeah, very uncivilized and a lot of fun to watch as someone who's not affiliated with either program. Bo Sparks had a big game for Texas State in their opener. The
Yeah.
one concern that I do have is A&M wide receivers ran all over the place against UTSA in that back end. If Bo Sparks gets loose, he might have another big stat line as well. So
Yeah, 4
Texas State's
touchdowns,
path
right,
to,
in the opener.
yeah. Bobcats' path to victory, I think, is through the air, very similar to what Texas A&M did. So should be a fun matchup. That's 2:30 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Would highly encourage you to at least check part of that out. Arizona State, 6.5-point favorites at Mississippi State. They bludgeoned the Bulldogs in Tempe last year. This is 6:30 p.m. on ESPN2. Until Mississippi State can show me that they can compete with a big boy, and I know they kind of ran away from Southern Miss in week 1, but I'm fully in prove it to me territory with the Bulldogs, so this is pretty easy. I'm going with Arizona State minus the points here.
I'm taking Mississippi State plus the points. I can't really give you a
Okay.
specific reason why, but just call it a gut feeling that a night game in Starkville is going to be a little different than maybe something that Arizona State has experienced. They're still trying to figure out life post Camp Scattaboo. If Mississippi State comes out and punches them in the mouth early, hits a big bomb with Blake Shapen or something like that, then maybe this makes this game close. I do think Arizona State wins and survives this game, but many a good team has struggled in a night game in Starkville. So give me State plus the points.
That's certainly fair. The one thing, and I consider that because, boy, the clangers get going late at night and that place turns into a house of horrors. You and I know that from personal experience with our team just continually losing there. The one thing that made me rethink that was that this Mississippi State program does not have nearly the talent that those upset-minded Bulldogs teams of years past have. And so for that, like if the talent advantage I felt like was on Mississippi State side or close to being on Mississippi State side, I think I'd be right there with you, but I'm just still out on what Jeff Lebby has done to retool the program physically. If they want to prove me wrong, hey, that is amazing for the SEC and good for Jeff Lebby because I think it's going to be another long year for Bulldogs fans, if not. Final game on the run sheet, Vanderbilt at Virginia Tech. Evidently bet down an entire point. When this opened, it was at 2.5. Vanderbilt getting all the money, and boy, I'm kind of leaning that way too. I really don't want to get caught doubting Diego Pavia. Virginia Tech looked lost, beyond lost, in their Aflac opener against South Carolina. It was not a pretty game for either side, but boy, Kyron Jones really struggled, and I don't know what the Hokie identity is going to be scoring points this year.
I'm right there with you. I'm taking Vandy plus the points, and don't know what Virginia Tech has done to improve from this time last year when Vandy kind of ran away from them in Nashville. Now, I know it's going to be in Blacksburg. That's a much different environment than playing at home in Nashville, but this is a Vanderbilt team that has a lot of continuity, has played together for a couple seasons now, and really believes in themselves. And I think that does speak for something. So, yeah, I think Vandy walks out of Blacksburg with a big win, and Virginia Tech is going to be reeling at 0-2, and that's going to start to really turn the heat up on Brent Pry a little bit if that happens.
Hate that for the Hokies. A proud program that got beamer balled by Shane this week. Special teams touchdown, kind of the nail in the coffin for Virginia Tech. You know that they want to get back to their winning ways that Frank had them at in the 90s and the early 2000s. I want it for them too. It's a proud program, and I'm just starting to think that it's going to have to go in a different direction than Brent Pry and a lot of the talent that they have on campus right now.